I used the Mi 10 as my primary for over a week, and given this one's gonna be launching soon, we don't know when given the current Indian situation and all, but it is gonna be launching, and given that, let's go ahead and take a look at the pros and cons of this phone. What I had to like and dislike in my week with the Xiaomi Mi 10. Hey guys, Ash here from C4eTech, and if you do end up liking what you see in this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get started. As with almost every C4eTech review, let's start with the build. Xiaomi have done well here. We have Corning's Gorilla Glass 5 to both the front and the back of the Mi 10, so from a protection perspective, this phone seems to be well covered. As far as looks go, Xiaomi's again delivered. This blue variant especially comes across as looking really classy. The curves to the edges, not only do they add to the allure of the Mi 10, but they also help with the ergonomics. The phone feels much slimmer than the actual 9mm thickness, and the curved edges are largely the reason for that. Not just to the back, even the display curves at the edges. This is something we usually associate with premium devices, so nice to see Xiaomi not cut corners. On the flip side, the headphone jack and micro SD, they are both MIA. There is no official IP rating either, but it should come with a P2i nano coating, and the Mi 10 it also retains the IR blaster as well as a secondary speaker. Yes, this is not the earpiece doubling as a speaker, but a total secondary speaker that makes the sound output very full, very rich. Now, since the display here is AMOLED, we do have a fingerprint scanner under it, and in my experience, no complaints. It is as fast and accurate as you can expect it to be. And while we're on the topic of biometrics, the 20-megapixel camera in this cutout right here, it helps with face unlock, which again was very quick. The primary use of this camera though is to shoot selfies, and the selfies, they turned out well enough. It's not best in class, but this cam, it's still pretty competent. Even with edge deduction, the portraits, they came out really good. Xiaomi's movie mode with the letterboxing, it's quite a nice touch. Now the display itself, it is 6.67 inches, it's a Full HD Plus display, there is HDR10 Plus support, and as mentioned earlier, this is an AMOLED panel, and a good one at that. The colors, they pop, viewing angles are excellent, the curve to the sides, you'll love it if you like the looks of it, you'll hate it if you hate the reflections that it brings with it. Personally, I love it. No palm touch issues here, Xiaomi has that covered. Watching videos on this phone with those excellent speakers, it was a pleasant experience. And it's not just watching videos, even gaming's very good since the refresh rate is 90Hz with 180Hz touch sampling. So the experience, the gameplay, it's very smooth. The hardware inside is very much capable of pushing 90Hz whenever needed. This is Qualcomm's flagship Snapdragon 865 SoC, which happens to be 5G capable, but given 5G is at least a couple of years away in India, it's not probably something you should worry about, you should take into account really. There is Wi-Fi 6 support though, which is something that's useful today, so do note that. Now, the 865, which is a killer chip, Xiaomi is using liquid cooling to keep the temps under check, so even with quite a fair bit of gaming, the Mi 10 ran pretty cool. On the storage side of things, the base is 128 gigs, that's fast UFS 3.0 storage. We also get 8 gigs of fast LPDDR5 RAM. So as far as performance goes, the Mi 10 absolutely delivers. MIUI 11 felt very responsive, whatever it is that it tried to do, right from intense gaming and shooting high-res video, right down to mundane day-to-day tasks like checking Instagram and Twitter, everything felt fluid. We get the same MIUI 11 as we've seen on many phones before. It's quite optimized for both fluidity as well as battery life. Talking about which, the Mi 10, it has a 4780 mAh battery, and in my time with it, I ended most of my days with at least 30% left in the tank. That's with moderate use. If I pushed it hard, then I'd still manage to get through a day on a single charge. And if I needed a top up, the 30-watt charger is included in the box, and it helps the Mi 10 get from 0 to 100 in just about an hour. It's also worth noting that the Mi 10 has support for 30-watt fast wireless charging, but that requires a proprietary charger. With regular wireless adapters, it would still charge, it would still work, but it wouldn't charge quite as fast. We also have reverse wireless charging in here. Moving on to the cameras, we get a quad camera setup to the back. The primary is Samsung's ISOCELL Bright HMX, that 108 megapixel sensor which is coupled with a f1.7 lens that's optically stabilized. Under good light, this primary sensor, it impresses. The images look well detailed, the colors are on the punchier side of things, scene recognition works as you'd expect it to. However, the issue of the sky being blown out, the one we encountered in this blind test, that still remains. It does seem to be a software issue though, so I'm hoping Xiaomi does address it. Now, shooting at full 108 megapixels did improve the detail levels, but I didn't find it noticeably better than, say, a 64 megapixel pic from the Samsung ISOCELL Bright GW1. But this 108 megapixel sensor, it's not just about the megapixels here, it has yet another advantage. Under low light, the fact that this is a large 1x1.33 inch sensor, that comes into play. It is also paired with a fast optically stabilized lens, and there's the stellar night mode algorithms of MIUI. This means the Mi 10 fares very well. Images are bright, the details there, and noise levels, they're kept to a minimum. The second camera is a 13 megapixel ultra-wide which has a 123-degree field of view, and it does what you expect of it. Fits more into the frame, and guys, here's where we usually see, with ultra-wides, they are noticeably worse than the primary. Here too, the primary sensor does better, but this ultra-wide, it definitely exceeded my expectations. The other two sensors, they don't amount to much. We've got a 2 megapixel macro sensor, which given the Redmi Note 9 Pro itself has a 5 megapixel sensor, which is relatively better. I felt this was a bit of a letdown. The 2 megapixel depth sensor, it gets the job done. The edge reduction is decent, but I kind of felt the images turned out a little soft. With video, the Mi 10 can capture 8K footage, or so Xiaomi claims. We've heard reports that this is 6K upscaled and not native 8K. Whatever it is, it's still very detailed and sharp footage. The 8K capture is capped at 7 minutes though. At 4K 60 FPS, the video quality, it still remains excellent and is more stabilized. I also like how Xiaomi have included a dedicated Pro mode for video. I feel this is something every phone should have, or at least the flagship ones. Anyway, the optics on the Mi 10 here, overall they are very much capable. I like what Xiaomi has done. I like what the Mi 10 has to offer. And with all that out of the way, let's now talk pricing. Here, we do not have the official pricing yet, but going by Chinese prices and the increase in GST, I'd have expected the Mi 10 to launch at 45,000 rupees. But given that the iPhone SE is coming in at 42,500, even OnePlus have managed to launch their OnePlus 8 500 rupees cheaper. So I'm pretty sure Xiaomi will also want to be below that 42,500 mark. So I'd estimate this phone to launch at 39,900. Being priced over a new iPhone, despite said iPhone having an at least 2-year-old design, it still isn't something I think Xiaomi would be keen to do. So I'm going to guess 39,900. Now, whatever the price turns out to be, 40 or 45,000, at both price points, the Mi 10 still feels worth it. Xiaomi have done well. They have the bases covered, excellent looks, even better display, top of the line internals, fast charging, fast wireless charging, and more than competent optics. The Mi 10, it feels like a polished package, and I do feel this is a phone you should consider, especially if Xiaomi does price it under 40,000. It's going to be a very alluring option, hard to say no to. Anyway, that's been my take on the Xiaomi Mi 10. It is one solid offering, and I'm very happy to see the Mi flagship series back in India. So what do you think? Do you feel this is a good phone? What do you think about this phone? Is this something that interests you? What do you feel is a good competitive price for the Mi 10? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, we get to the end of this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name is Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.